one mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah I Banged Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
What up? Welcome into the Hump Day edition of One Mic with Big Mike. I am, of course, your host, Big Mike. Heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on Spreaker.com and the app for all your mobile devices. Make sure you guys either, log in to the website or go to the website or download that app for your iPhone or your Android or your Windows or your tablet or whatever you're rocking. Go ahead and get that joint. Once you do, sign up for your free Spreaker account. And after that, search for my show, the number one, MIC, WITHBIG, MIKE, One Mic with Big Mike. Give me a follow. And each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, of course, you can hear the show live starting at 7 o'clock. Also, the chat room is wide open. It's live and interactive, if I can get it out in English. So we can exchange thoughts. You guys can exchange thoughts with one another. You guys can ask me questions. You can ask questions. I guess through me, I can be the conduit to my guest, which tonight is Vashti Hurt from CharlotteBlitz.com. She's big time. Maybe I shouldn't oversell it. She's very knowledgeable in the way of NCAA basketball, March Madness, and all that stuff. So we're gonna kick it. We're gonna do some bracket talk. Which, by the way, I told you guys I wasn't filling out a damn bracket, and I held to that. I'm not filling out no damn bracket. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Especially money involved. I ain't doing that. So we'll do that at 7:30. Also, big announcement, and I definitely deserve a round of a damn applause for this. Yes, I do. Yes, thank you. Even before I tell you what it is, just clap. Yeah, just clap. I don't care. Just clap. So finally, the One Mic with Big Mike website has been preemptively launched today. Just go. I'm not gonna give out all my Twitter, Facebook, and all that stuff, email address. None of that is necessary anymore. All you gotta do now is go to www.onemicwithbigmike. That is the number one, MIC, WITHBIGMIKE.com. And everything is right there at your disposal. You can check out previous shows. You can listen. I think you can listen live via the website. I haven't ventured there to check it out and see if the stream is going live on the website, but I'll get that out the way and holler at you guys and let you know if that's a possibility. But until then, Spreaker.com is the main source of the stream if you want to catch it live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 o'clock. Excuse me. As far as today goes, once again, it is Hump Day. Beautiful day here in ATL, man. Another 80-degree day. We're out of that cold, bitter winterness, and now it's time, man, bruhs. We got to get out there and get that yard work done. So I started cutting some grass, and I went out there yesterday, man, and put my weed treatment, my first one, my weed treatment to get the weeds down so the grass can flourish, and trying to get busy, man. But no, hopefully you guys got over the hump. It's like 7 o'clock Eastern time as I'm currently doing the show right now. So, most of you guys today is you're on the back end of the day, and I hope it went well for everybody. It is also Woman Crush Wednesday, as we do, and we've done for the last 4 weeks now here on the show. I've done for the last 4 weeks here now on the show, and this week the young lady is at _mahogany, at _MAHOGONY is her handle and whatnot. So you guys can go check her out and give her a shout, some follows and all that good stuff. She was a real good sport. Shot me back a little comment or whatnot. The other thing I think I'm gonna do with that also, I think I'm gonna get some ladies tank tops made up, and then start having the bros and the ladies, the ladies and the gentlemen. I mean, the ladies can appreciate beauty as well. You guys can vote on it. Might start like on a Monday, and over Monday and Tuesday, you guys vote on a couple of different options, and then whoever gets the vote, I shoot him out a little tank top or whatever. I'm gonna run that past some folks and see if we can get that going on. Also, I told you guys that I got another venture coming that I'm involved in, Urban Sports Online, No Fair Catching Allowed, coming up. I think in a couple of weeks is what I was told, but I'll definitely continue to keep you guys abreast of that situation. You know, it's another avenue where people like me can express thoughts that you may not be able to get throughout your mainstream sports talk and sports radio listening. So, yeah, that's what's going on. As far as today goes, tomorrow starts the NCAA tournament. I already mentioned Vashti Hurt of CarolinaBlitz.com is going to join me at 7:30, and she's going to have some fun. Well, I'm going to have some fun with this with this whole March Madness situation, and she's going to try to bring a sense of education and intelligence to the show that, of course, I never bring. So we'll do that at 7:30. At the top of the hour, of course, since we have a guest, we bump our daily look back into the annals of sports called On This Day. We bump that back to the top of the hour, and this is where I give you guys some factoids on some historical things that happened within the world of sports. Also, I didn't get a chance. This story hit as I was starting the show, like, I don't know, 15 minutes before I was starting the show, and I mentioned it on Monday that the NFL, one of the NFL's lead medical people, actually finally did say that there is a definite link between playing professional football and brain trauma, brain disease, which is what everyone already knew. But I want to go a little bit deeper with it, and I want to kind of, every time I speak on this topic, I want to kind of dispel the narrative that's been kind of forced down our throats, because I think this is a great opportunity to do that, because first comes the admittance, which is happening now, but now I think the next step for the people who are still negotiating the settlement, we've got to talk about the real underlying issue that surrounds this whole situation, and I'll do that in just a second here. Also, this also ties in. We got to talk about weed. I saw something last night. I don't know if you guys are checking out Viceland. Vice is like a news, I don't know if it's a news organization, I guess, and it started online, like YouTube, doing stories, and it was once described to me in a conversation as basically 60 Minutes on steroids. They take you inside and they take you around the world and take you to these places where all this terrible stuff is happening to kind of bring a sense of awareness, I guess, to people like me, you know, who otherwise might not know or might not even know to that extent. And they now have a entire channel on cable. It used to be the History 2 channel, but now it's a channel called Viceland. And I told my old lady the other day, this is about to be my favorite channel, because I love zooming out. You know what I mean? Because so many times we feel like what's going on in our direct circle, in our small little circles, is the biggest and most impactful things, or ranks amongst the biggest and the most impactful things on earth. But once you zoom out a little bit, you kind of figure out real quick that there's some people in this world, even in this country, that are dealing with things that are way worse than anything you can imagine. And that's what this channel, it does. And so yesterday I'm looking at this show. It's called Weediquette, like etiquette, but starts with weed, so you can understand what the show is about, what the backdrop of the show is, I guess I should say. And yesterday the show focused on a case in Louisiana where a young, not so young, he's a black man though, he's doing 13 and a third years in prison because he was stopped with 2 joints. And they went through all the scenarios that also fed into that conviction, and the laws, and the thing that I love, the money that is contributing to why, one, this country and sports leagues continue to demonize marijuana, and people that look like me are inevitably paying that price. and paying very steep prices. I think the number that they stated yesterday was that a black man or black men and black people are at least four times as likely to be jailed for marijuana possession, not just not any other drug. We're talking specifically marijuana possessions than their white counterpart, even though usage is on par with one another. So the only reason I bring that up is because an offensive lineman, the Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman, is he's speaking out in favor of marijuana, and not just like, well, I love smoking, so why should I be able to smoke? He has some very, very good points to his argument, in my opinion, and he's putting his money where his mouth is, and I was very, very impressed with it, so I definitely want to share that story with you guys as well, and then tie it in to what we're talking about with these head injuries, because it does actually relate. You know, and I know a lot of people don't. This is something that I've been very, very interested in for many, many a year. I'm a person who I've never smoked marijuana ever, but I've seen a lot of scientific data that debunks a lot of the stigmas that have been placed around the subject of marijuana since like 1972, when I think it was Richard Nixon who launched the quote unquote war on drugs, right? Which, as many of you know, if you live in America, yeah, that ship is long sailed, my man. You know what I mean? And all it is now, it's become a money grab. You know, the federal government is making plenty of people rich on the backs of young men who look like me. With that being said, I've been very interested in it, and truth be told, in full disclosure, I'm actually considering, medicating myself with marijuana. And then people say, oh, you're probably no, seriously. I'm dealing with some things that I'm taking a lot of medication for right now. And from everything that I'm reading and seeing, that I could possibly help myself in that way. I'm not a fan of smoke and all that kind of stuff. I don't really like it. You know what I mean? Smoke, period, of any kind. But, they have like these vapor pens and things of that nature now. So I'm doing my own little research. Now, again, I've never smoked a day in my life, anything. But, the situation that we're in this country, where apparently now there's an opioid epidemic. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Yeah, it's been one. It's been one in my community, in a lot of black communities, and a lot of not just black but poor communities around this country. People are hooked on heroin, which is just a cousin of any oxycodone or any Percocet and all this kind of stuff. They're all opioids, and they're all cousins of one another. And you're far more likely to be addicted and die from the stuff your doctor gives you than some weed that you get from a little homie trying to get a couple dollars for some Jordans. And you might be, if you're just tuning in, by the way, you might be wondering, like, what the hell does it have to do with sports? It has plenty to do with sports, especially after the Monday, the Monday, it wasn't necessarily the announcement, but the revelation that all of a sudden now the people involved with the NFL's medical community have now come out and said, yes, there is a direct link between playing professional football and brain disease. And I wish I could get Dr. Sunjay Gupta on. We've had him on before with previous shows to talk about, the cannabinoids and the way the brain reacts, the way it reacts towards being hit in the head, the chemical that your brain releases, and how the CBD in the marijuana can help reverse that. And the other reason I'm bringing this up is because we've been conditioned so many times. The first time we hear of Josh Gordon, or the first time we hear of what's this kid, Martavis Bryant, the first thing we say, oh man, he's a damn idiot. He's a damn fool. Okay, first of all, why are you saying that? Are you saying that because he got caught, or are you saying that because he's choosing to smoke weed? Because that's two different conversations. And, as the evening goes on, we'll get into that. Shout out to my guy, Matt. He's in the building. Got a newcomer. I am No Doze in the building. In the chat room. You guys can join the chat room as well. And now I've tried to make it easier for you guys. Just go to onemic.com at the bottom of the home screen. You'll see the screen where the situation is, where the stream of the show is. Just click on that little thought bubble you see dancing around. You guys can join the interactive chat room as well. Like I said, we're going to talk about the NCAA tournament as well. I don't really care about it, to be honest with you. I'm going to watch because I think it's like my guy used to call it fun bad. Like, things are just fun bad. They're so bad, they're fun. So I'm going to check it out. Also, the new thing I started on Monday, I'm on Roddy White watch. Because so many people here in my fair city of Atlanta were so devastated and Roddy White got cut. Oh, my God. And people were like, watch he go somewhere else and be a Pro Bowler. Where? Like, trust me, I'm looking. I'm just looking for rumors. People talk, look, man, Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace just got a gig with the Ravens. You know what I mean? I look at the top 10 list of available players in free agency. Roddy White's name is nowhere. He's not even being talked about, man. Maybe that's an indictment on his agent, to be honest with you, because nobody's even talking about you. Gee whiz. Like, my man, make something up. Like, just throw a name out there to some media source and get the ball rolling. But my God, there's nothing. Google it right now. Roddy White free agency rumors, Roddy White free agent, Roddy White possible teams. Do all that. You might get some old articles from when he was first cut and people were kind of like saying like, oh, he's probably going to end up with Dirk Cutter. Well, it hadn't happened yet. And I'm not saying it won't happen, but what I'm saying is the league will let you know a player's true value. So when you walk out the door and you talk about, there's a conspiracy against you, the offensive coordinator didn't want you here, your agent says he gave the team an ultimatum, Roddy's got to go or I got to go. Yeah, there's always some sort of gray area with these kind of things. Like, you may have felt that way, and it may be an earnest feeling. But the other part about it is, like, let's say it was the same situation with Julio Jones and Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, Arthur Blank would have been like, Kyle, you need help packing? Because he can still play. I think it's just a lot of times, man, like, dudes are so used to being what they are and people looking at them a certain way as players that it's hard to accept that, maybe I've given all I've given. Go ask Andre Johnson. Go ask Greg Jennings. Dudes who balled in the NFL for a good piece. And then Father Time said, I'm going to win. Every time, I'm going to win. It's One Mic with Big Mike. I am your host, Big Mike. I'm kind of nasally. That pollen, boy, yeah, it's starting to, if you from down here, that pollen's about to start kicking some people's ass. You feel me? I'm on Spreaker every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 7 o'clock live. Even if you don't catch the show live, you can also catch this one or any previous show on Spreaker.com, download it, stream it, all those kind of things. Make sure you hit the little heart too. You mean I'm trying to get my likes up. I don't ever mention that, but I'm trying to get my likes up. The Falcons had a signing yesterday as well. They signed another offensive lineman. I can't for the life of me. His name is escaping me right now, but by the end of the show, if it comes back up, it'll probably pop in my mind. But no big deal. They're trying to get some depth on that offensive line because, of course, they got to protect the franchise. Number two's got to stay upright. He threw the ball too many times with people hanging on him being on the ground too many times, and this team, whether you like Matt Ryan or not, there aren't many better options. You know what I mean? And he's not a bad one. I go through most football seasons, defending him to Falcons fans, but to no avail. So the dude, y'all they in the chat room talking about edibles and the effects of edibles versus smoking weed and all that. But the thing is, like, you can't get that stuff here in Atlanta. Like, you can't just, because you can go to, like, Colorado and walk into a store and get you some weed gummies or something, or some, like, peanut butter cups. But, like, you can't just walk in somewhere here because guess what? We're in the Bible Belt and weed's bad. God, I can't wait till people just start realizing that everything that was said and done hundreds of years ago, it was done that way for a reason, and it doesn't have to continue to be that way. Like I say this, like my answer to that is always the same. Like when somebody says, well, that's how it's always been, I just got a one-word answer every time. Slavery. Because if that's your attitude towards something, like we just do it that way because it's always been that way. All right, then I should be in shackles then. Like things got to change. You know what I mean? Things got to change to be able to move forward. And this country, man, like, yeah, let's make America great again. Every black person heard again and was like, hold on, what? Again? What are we talking? Back of the bus again? Or are we talking about like white man on a horse with a whip again? 'Cause either one is bad, but it gets, as you go further back, it kind of gets progressively worse for people of color. I'm just, saying. And boy, good for Donald Trump, B. Yeah, good for him. That dude, that dude got white folks exposing themselves everywhere. You see, Pete Rose today endorsed Donald Trump. Oh, they coming out the woodwork. Good, and that's good. Like, he wants to always keep guessing. You come home from work, you're mad at your white boss. You don't know if he's treating you the way he's treating you because he's black. Well, just wait till tomorrow. Wait till Casual Friday. You come in with that red "Make America Great Again" hat. Yeah, now you know. Now you know, and you can act accordingly. Yeah, it's like there's a silver lining to that gray cloud, and I'm gonna say this too. The big worry about this dude becoming president, he's a clown, right? Two things. He's probably gonna do something that's gonna get his ass impeached, and two, the wonderful thing, if there is a wonderful thing about this country and the way the system is set up, there are checks and balances. So this dude can't wake up one morning and somebody tweeted something about him, pissed off, and like, you know what? Let's send a drone to Big Mike's house. Yeah, no, he can't do that. So calm down. This is not kings and queens and dictators and all that kind of craziness, man. If it was, I'd have free healthcare right now. Just saying. All right. So what we got here? We got like 8 minutes till my guest calls in. So what I'm gonna do is start with my NFL conversation. So Monday, I should say, at a congressional hearing. Let me grab my notes here on that. Monday at a congressional hearing, one of the NFL's main big doctors just kind of spilled the beans. It kind of came out of nowhere. The meeting wasn't necessarily about that, but it just kind of came out. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's the NFL's top health and safety officer. He actually acknowledged on Monday that there is a link between football-related head trauma and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, otherwise known as CTE. For the first time, a senior league official has conceded football's connection to the devastating brain disease. I wonder what Roger Goodell did when he heard that. He probably crapped a brick. Like, what the hell? Because that's the crux. That's one of the things that are hanging in the balance when it comes to this concussion settlement, as it's being called, right? The fact that we're going to settle this case like any other settlement, right? You settle this case so you don't have to admit anything, because that is the former player's claim, that not that football is dangerous, which is the narrative that we're being fed now. Well, we're going to try to make the game safer. There's nothing safe about a 300-pound man and a 280-pound man running full speed into each other head first. There's nothing safe about that. That's acknowledged and it's accepted. The problem was you didn't just hide the facts from former players. You gave them you lied and told them there was no health risk, no long-term health risk from getting concussions. That's the problem. It's not a matter of safer helmets or better rules or any of this foolishness. You play football, there are inherent risks. You sign up to go to war, there are inherent risks. There are certain jobs, policemen, firemen, there's certain jobs that carry with them inherent risk, and football is one of them. Now, just because we're talking about millions of dollars now and all this kind of stuff, it's still a job. And that job is a dangerous one. It's an instantaneously dangerous one. it's also a long-term dangerous one. Both things apply. But the fact is, you didn't allow people, like you do that whole thing where a guy would get knocked out unconscious. You give him some smelling salts and put him back in the game. And tell him that ain't gonna have no effect on you. That's bad business all the way around. Like if somebody, and we can use the argument, and we can talk about the argument that, 99.9% of players say, if they had to do it all over again, they would. Probably. But that don't mean they didn't want to know, or they didn't have the right to know what was happening to their brains. That's a ridiculous argument. Well, anyway, back to this. Before we get out of here for the guests, and we'll pause and pick it up on the other side of the guests. Jeff Miller, the NFL Senior Vice President for Health and Safety, was asked by Representative Jan Schakowsky, she's a Democrat out of Illinois, if the link between football and neurodegenerative diseases like CTE has been established. Quote, the answer to the question is certainly yes, end quote. Yeah. Like the ball just drops. And there's some audio to this. I don't have it, but there's some audio to this. And you like, what? Because the other problem with it is the same questions were asked like a couple of days before the Super Bowl. And a couple of days before the Super Bowl, it was like, we don't know, maybe, kind of, I don't know. There's no proof of it. And it's like in, what was that, February? We're in March now, right? End of January, February, we're in March. So over a month and a half, it went from not being so definite to definite. That's some slimy, like Gestapo type stuff, man. It's like people who need help. And wait till I tell you guys about why the settlement is being fought to. Because you remember they had a certain number, like 700 million or something like that. The player said, all right, but there can't be a cap on it. There needs to be a unlimited supply of loot for this case because the disease and the studies are so new. So the NFL came back and said, okay, cool, we'll give you that. But now there's going to be a more stringent process on getting the money. So they just made it harder to get the money. And it's so ridiculous how somebody is able to get help for their problems. Dr. Ann McKee, a Boston University neuropathologist, if I can get it out, who has diagnosed CTE in the brains of 176 people, including those of 90 out of 94 former NFL players. Okay, it's a small sample size, agreed. But, yeah, 90 out of 94. If I was giving you a test in school and you got 90 out of 94 questions right, you run home smiling and laughing. That's enough. And when it comes to something this serious, you should need, tens of thousands before somebody says, you know what, that's a damn problem. No, it's a problem now. And it's time to really start looking into it more. Because, of course, the problem with diagnosing the disease is that it can only be done post-mortem, once you're dead. That's why you see these guys, Seau and Duerson and these guys killing themselves and then donating their brains to history. Frank Gifford's wife and his family. Javon Belcher's mom donated his brain to, did I say to history? I meant to research, sorry. And then in all four cases, the calcium deposits were found in their brains. And still and yet the NFL denies. And it goes way past the money thing too. Because of some of the symptoms. The violence, the violent outbursts, you don't want that stuff to start brewing in people's minds because every time now you start hearing about a domestic violence case with a football player, you kind of got to start thinking on that level. It's One Mic with Big Mike. I'm going to come back after I speak with my guest about March Madness, and we'll talk some more about this, and we'll bring in the marijuana angle as well. It's One Mic with Big Mike. I'm Big Mike, being heard on Spreaker.com. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you guys, so spread the word. I do appreciate you doing that. At 7 o'clock, we're going to come back. We're going to talk to Vashti Hurt of CarolinaBlitz.com. Try to get you guys ready. If you hadn't already filled out your brackets and all that craziness, get you guys ready for tomorrow's beginning of the NCAA tournament. And we'll do that next right here, One Mic with Big Mike.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Time starts now. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat? Where can you find the answers to these questions?
Car crashes are one of the leading killers of U.S. children. Many of those deaths could be prevented by making sure that kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? When a tornado is tearing through town? Or a hurricane strikes? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. And it's not always as simple as using your cell phone. That's why now is the time to take action. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to One Mic with Big Mike. Big Mike here, grinding on this Wednesday, a.k.a.
Hump Day.
Still waiting on my guest, Vashti Hurt, to join me from CarolinaBlitz.com. Don't forget, the website is up, man, www.onemicwithbigmike, the number 1, MICWITHBIGMIK. You can hit that join up, get all my social media information. You can listen to the show from the website. You can also check out, I got my guy, Rob Calloway, contributing as far as on the writing tip. You know, he's writing up some writing articles, so there's a section for that as well. You can email me straight from the website. It's kind of, you know, in the process right now of being perfected, but I wanted to make sure I got it up this week. I tried to do it last week, but ran into some snags and whatnot, and I'm going to continuously, you know, try to perfect it and get it more, looking a little bit better, and then eventually, you know, come out, launch the big boy, get a professional site thrown up and get that thing rolling just right along. Don't forget also, you guys can download the Spreaker app for all of your mobile devices. Go ahead and do that and follow my show. First by signing up for your free Spreaker account like my guy Matt has at East Point Made Me, and I Am No Dose has. They're in the chat room right now. You guys can join the chat room as well via the website or via Spreaker. The website may be easier. To scroll down to the bottom, you see the streamer at the bottom. Click on that little thought bubble you see dancing around, and you'll be in the chat room as well, sharing your thoughts. I was talking about Roddy White a little bit in the first segment, and Matt says, I think Roddy has to wait if he's trying to choose where he wants to go. I don't think it's much of his choice at this point. It may be a situation where he may even have to wait until the season starts, till we start seeing some injuries and some people needing some veteran wide receiver presence, a guy that can come in and pick up an offense quickly, especially after the draft. You know, teams that need receivers, if they're going to draft them, may have a situation like last year with the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago Bears, and Kevin White not being able to perform, the kid from Louisville who couldn't get on the field for a while down in Miami. And you need a veteran guy to come in and kind of, you know, fill the void there. I Am No Dose talking about he's in New Orleans. Okay, so yeah, talking about the situation with the marijuana and just the crazy like that 3 strikes and outlaw they got down there. How ridiculous it is! How you can catch a felony for weed, and then if you catch 2, obviously the second one, it ties the judge's hands. Essentially, you know, these minimum sentences and all this kind of stuff that President Obama is trying to eliminate. You know, it's a crazy look, man, to see how you know, like sometimes, man, like I went to bed last night, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, man. I went to bed last night. I was like, man, I just hate this effing country, man, and this effing country hate me, man. I just like I felt so. It kind of make you feel helpless, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell, man? This dude is about to spend. He got kids, 13 years, and the thing is, the crazy thing is, he was just riding his bike to his pop's auto body shop, you know, to go hang out with his dad, and the police were just out there, just stopped him for no reason, you know what I mean? Come here, type thing. And his pops was talking on camera. He was like, "That's how it is, man." He was like, "Yo, I'm out." You know what I mean? I'm out of the police game. I don't mess with them. I see them. I go the other way. I don't even play around. And it's a shame it got to be that way, man. The people that are commissioned to protect and quote unquote serve, you know, it's just it's one of those things where if you hear about these things, you gotta kind of just, you know. All right, so my guest is joining me now. I'm getting some feedback. Vashti, are you listening to me? Is that what's happening? Okay, you got to turn me down. So I can't hear myself twice. All right, cool. And I appreciate it. Don't think I don't appreciate it now. Hell yeah. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, Matt, crazy as hell. She's the editor-in-chief of CarolinaBlitz.com. She's at Vashti Hurt. That's VASHTIHURT. I spelled it wrong. Am I saying it right? I spelled it wrong on my little sheet here, but am I saying it right? Vashti?
You're close. It's Vashti.
Vashti. Yeah, she got to say it with more. See, I'm not that refined, so everything that comes out of my mouth sounds more ghetto than it should be. You feel me? So there we go. So, you know, she's on tonight to give us some pointers on a few things. First of all, where you want to start? You want to start with Donald Trump or O.J. Simpson? No, I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm totally playing. I'm
down for whatever.
I'm totally playing. You're here to interrupt the ignorance and bring some thought provocative and some sensibility to the show, as well as a dash of estrogen. It's way too much testosterone in the show. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, you are my very, very first female guest. So that's
really
hell yeah. Let's run it. Let's go.
Wow.
All right. So we're going to
do better. You got to have more ladies on.
Look, man, I want to, but sometimes, like, just ask Renee why that might not work all the time. Just anyway. Okay. So tomorrow. And speaking of Renee, she's in the chat room. You guys can join the chat room as well. If you've got some questions for Vashti about your brackets or whatnot, you can jump on in the live interactive chat room. Just go to onemike.com, click on the little thought bubble. You guys can channel your questions for her through me. First and foremost, I want to start here. On Sunday, there was a bomb dropped on the bracket show, on the bracket reveal show. It was leaked about an hour early. Are you one of those people that was like, oh, I can't believe that happened, or did you not care like normal people?
I mean, I really didn't care. Actually, I was glad that we got to see it and we didn't have to wait through that whole joke of a bracket announcement. Just give us what we want. We all wanted to see who was in and who was out. I'm sure the folk at CBS were mad because, they probably lost a lot of advertising dollars, or their advertisers weren't very happy that people kind of tuned out of the show. But I was cool with it. I don't necessarily watch the show anyway. I just wait for the full bracket to be revealed and then go from there.
Oh, you might be all right. And I thought you might be like one of those college basketball weirdos that I'm always talking about. Yeah, you might be all right. One of those, I can't believe they did that to those kids. They had to find out that they're not going to the tournament on Twitter. Who gives a damn? Kids find out everything else on damn Twitter anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me about, speaking of the kids, why, in your opinion, why are kids that really don't have a chance in this tournament, why do they get so happy that they get to go?
Well, it's easy to say that the kids don't really have a chance, but we've seen long shots. We saw Florida Gulf Coast a couple of years ago. We saw Mercer. We've seen teams with unknown
but
players.
Neither of those teams won.
but they didn't necessarily win the entire tournament. That rarely happens, but they did shock the nation and get national attention by beating powerhouse schools.
Okay.
So I don't think that any of these smaller programs actually believe that they're going to win. I just think they go into the tournament thinking, let's be one of the ones who shocks the world. And there's always one team, there's always one Cinderella that comes in and shocks the world. I don't know who it's going to be this year, but I think all of those smaller schools are hoping that they're that one.
Who has the best chance of being a Cinderella this year?
I don't know. I was on a show yesterday, and I was talking about Wichita State, and this was actually before they played last night and completely blew out their opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I always like Wichita State. I think that they have a shot to do well in the tournament. Other than that, I don't really see any. Florida Gulf Coast will play North Carolina tomorrow. I'll actually be covering that game in Raleigh. And they looked really good. Also, I just don't see any of these smaller schools beating any of these larger powerhouses. But,
wouldn't this be the year for it, though? The way we've seen so many of these big schools go now, wouldn't this be the year for it to happen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this would be the year for it. I saw a fellow writer, he didn't have North Carolina making it past the first weekend. So,
Really?
it's. Yeah, so you never know. I don't trust Oregon in that West bracket. I don't think that I think that they could easily lose to a St. Joe's or Cincinnati. It's just. I mean, we always every year it feels like the conversation is there's so much parity in college basketball. There's so much parity, and this year I think that there's more parity than ever. Now, you're going to see a major team win the national championship, but don't be surprised if this year you have at least two Cinderellas.
God, I'm going to be horrified if that happens. I hate bad basketball.
That's good news.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's good media.
Oh, I hate that. I want to see the best every time. I don't want to see Butler and Florida Gulf Coast and Georgia State. I don't want to see that garbage. I want to see dudes that I'm going to see play next year in the league. She's Vashti Hurt joining me right now, the editor-in-chief at CarolinaBlitz.com. Make sure you guys are following her on Twitter at Vashti Hurt. That's VASHTIHURT. How many brackets you got? How many brackets do you fill out? Be honest.
I haven't filled out my bracket yet.
But it's going to be one? Or how many?
I'm the type of person I fill out one bracket in pen. What my instincts tell me the first time, that's what I'm going with. Now, I don't have all these alternate brackets. No. I fill out one bracket in pen. If I get it wrong, if my bracket goes up in flames the first weekend, then it just goes up in flames. But I'm not going to be managing like 5 or 6 brackets.
See, that's me. That's me every year. So this year, I just screw it. I'm just going to watch basketball. I'm not worried about that. But when I did fill out brackets, my strategy was always work backwards. Who I thought was going to win, then I go to the 4, then I go to the 8 and the 16. How do you? What's your strategy?
I don't work backwards.
Oh, it's not. You just said it's a good strategy. It's a terrible strategy. My bracket always gets busted day one.
Well,
so it's terrible.
You know what? Statistics show that people who have all of these bracketologists and whatever they want to call themselves. Usually people who just have no idea about basketball and they're just guessing have a perfect bracket. That's how inexact the science is. So I look at the matchup. I go by which team I like. Just based on what I've seen during the year. I think about coaches. I think that's a big thing in March. You have a Michigan State team who, although they got a second seed, they're coached by one of the best in March, and Tom Izzo. You
think they were undefeated? You think they should have gotten 1? You think they should have gotten a 1? You mentioned they got a 2 seed. You think they should have been a 1?
I thought it was questionable that they got a number 2, as opposed to Virginia. Virginia took their number 1 seed, but it just shows how much respect the committee has for the ACC and that conference and the tough schedule that those guys have to play. And, with Virginia losing to another number 1 seed, I'm not I'm not surprised, but I can see where Michigan State fans would have a problem with that.
Let's go back to like an earlier question, like kind of broaden our horizons on the earlier question. What's a comfortable number of teams for a person like me who don't really want to sit through these playing games and all this? What's a comfortable number where you're going to get some quality basketball? Because I'm of the opinion the NCAA is just bleeding. They're just trying to bleed this tournament for all it is because no one cares about their long preseason, a.k.a. the regular season. But what's a realistic, comfortable number? Taking the economics out of it, just a good number where you're going to still get a true champion at the end of the day.
A good number of what, games?
Of teams. No, of
games
teams.
won?
Of teams in the tournament. Like now, what are we at now, 68?
Yeah, well, that's including the playing games.
Right. So what's a good number of teams?
I like the way it is now. I'm glad that you have playing games because you have squads who are kind of like on the bubble and they have an opportunity to get into the field of 64. And in my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, Mike, you're from Atlanta, right?
I am.
See, college basketball is a little different in North Carolina than it is in Atlanta. See, we take college basketball really seriously. So this is like our Christmas here. So I don't think anybody, me being someone from North Carolina, I like it just the way it is. I will be at the game tomorrow, watching a game live, and I will have all the games up on my computer also. I can't get enough of this stuff. And there's some people who are like me, and then there's some people who are like you, and are like, okay, just give me the best 8 teams in the country, and then let them go at it. And I like the way it's set up now because it allows room for upset, and henceforth the name March Madness.
Tell everybody about some players. You know, the best player, arguably the best player in the country, Ben Simmons, and that bad LSU team didn't get a chance to play in the tournament, and they declined playing in any other postseason tournaments. But give me some other players outside of Duke, outside of Oklahoma, who outside of Kentucky. Give me some other players that I might need to keep my eye out for as we move through the first couple of days here in the tournament and moving forward. August that plays for Notre Dame. He is their center. Zach August, the light skinned kid with the Odell Beckham haircut.
Yes.
Yeah.
The light skinned kid with the Odell Beckham haircut.
Yeah, I don't need to know his name until next year when he's in the league or the year after. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what? He's not on any draft boards, but every year when I watch him in the ACC tournament, he impresses me. He has a good motor.
Yeah.
He actually, when Notre Dame came back to beat Duke in that quarterfinal game, it was on the shoulders of Zach August. And he seems to always kind of turn it on. He's kind of, people don't really check for him prior to, let's say, March. But on March, he has this thing where he turns it on, and he really impressed me. And I can see him doing a lot for that squad during March Madness. So he's one that I would look at. That's a sleeper guy right there. Vashti Hurt, the editor-in-chief of CarolinaBlitz.com, joins One Mic with Big Mike. She's at Vashti, VASHTIHURT, on Twitter. What would March Madness be without the allure of the bracket? Because what the bracket seems to do is bring in that fringe person, or even people who don't even care, like people's moms, and just because other people are doing it in the office or are filling out brackets, they'll fill out brackets. Like, what would March Madness be? Because I don't think the NFL necessarily needs fantasy football. It's a good addition, but I think people would still watch. Would people still be as interested, just your novice, be as interested in March Madness if not for all the bracket challenges and the office pools and those type of things? I don't think so. When I was in corporate America, and we would have this bracket and a bracket pool. Of course, the college basketball fans like myself and most of the guys, we would get into it. But sometimes, some of the other ladies who had no idea, they just wanted to be involved. Got involved just to fill out a bracket and try to feel like they belong.
And
so
they win too, huh?
No, I actually won.
Oh, well,
but,
of course you did.
Not.
I'm sorry. How dare I? How dare I?
But But yeah. So I think that I've talked to a lot of people who don't care about college basketball until March, and I think that the allure of the tournament, and then also filling out this bracket and people going up against each other and trying to figure out if you can be the one to, get this perfect. Yeah, I think that adds a certain amount of appeal to the tournament, and then gets people involved who would never care about basketball on a regular day.
Which top seed, either one or two, is headed towards their nightmare matchup? Like stylistically, the matchup that's in their grouping just doesn't work for them moving on to like the Final Four or the championship game.
You want a 1 seed or a 2 seed?
Yeah, one of the top seeds. Like, who are they looking at in their bracket? Like, oh God, I hope we don't have to play them.
You know what? I don't think Kansas. Kansas is the number 1 overall seed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they are a lot. When I fill out my bracket, I will not have Kansas going to the Final Four. I think that they could even get caught up by Maryland in the Sweet 16. I even think UConn could possibly challenge them in the first weekend. So I don't have Kansas. Kansas is, in my opinion, is so wishy-washy, and I'm not a big fan of their conference. I think that they could get caught up. They're going to be the first number 1 seed to fall. Behind them, I'm going to say Oregon. I'm not a fan. And I don't know, maybe I'm biased. I'm just not a fan of West Coast basketball teams, and I'm not a fan of the Pac-10 basketball. I don't think it holds a candle to what these guys go through on the East Coast. So, in my opinion, look for Kansas and look for Oregon. Oregon could easily get caught up by Cincinnati in the round of 16, in the round of 32, and then I definitely don't see them getting past Duke.
Where are you at with the one and dones? I know people have varying opinions, especially around this time of year when maybe you get to see some of the guys that you may have just heard about. I know a couple of years ago, guys like, you talk about West Coast basketball, you talk about guys like Aaron Gordon playing out there that people out here may not have gotten to see until tournament time. Where do you stand as far as one and dones and how they relate to the buzz around March Madness and the NCAA tournament?
I mean, one and done, at this point, they're a necessary evil. And I hate to say that they're evil, but because they're great to watch. Brandon Ingram, and you have Ben Simmons, and, these guys that we get to see for a year before they go to college. But that's something that the league needs to change. The league needs to go to at least a 2 or 3 year minimum for these guys to stay in college. And if they're NBA ready, do not force them to go to college for a year.
That's kind of where
I'm a firm believer.
Where I differ in that. Like, I don't think anybody should be forced to do anything for the sake of an entire, or like, it's not Ben Simmons' job to hold up college basketball. If he's like in Anthony Davis's case,
he's not holding up college basketball.
No, but what I'm saying,
he was on a lackluster squad.
But what you're saying is that if he's able to stay 3 years, it's better for college basketball. I'm the dude that says get your money when you can. If it's after the second year and you're good, there's no need for you to play that third year for free and risk getting hurt for free.
But my thing is, if you're good enough to go to the league right out of high school, you should not be held from going to the league.
Definitely not.
So I agree that these guys should be able to get their money. So I'm not going to argue with that. But if they're good enough to go out of high school, then let them go. If not, then they need to stay 2 years.
Are you in public somewhere? You just started whispering to me. Where are you?
No. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Your voice got real calm, and I was like, wait a minute. Is she like at church or something? Is it Bible study day or something? All right. She's Vashti Hurt, the editor-in-chief of CarolinaBlitz.com. I got a couple more minutes with her. You make sure you guys are following her, as I do, on Twitter at Vashti Hurt. Tell me about CarolinaBlitz.com. Tell me about how that came about and what you're doing with your website.
Well, honestly, I started it about a little over maybe going on 2 years in September. But I left a career as a stockbroker, and I hated it. I hated it, and I actually kind of fell into being a sports writer, which is now something that I love and I've made my life's passion. And I'm sorry. I made my life's passion. And basically what happened is I got tired of begging people to give me an opportunity. And
Say that.
I go to, I go to these conferences and I go to these meetings, and it's like I'm begging people to see the value in me. And I was like, bust that. I'm going to start my own, and I'm going to establish my name and my brand, and it'll get to the point where people start coming to me.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And I also wanted to be my own boss, and there aren't a lot of opportunities for black women writers and or, sports personalities. So I also wanted to have a platform where I'm able to give other folk like me an opportunity.
Yeah. You know what? And I admire that, and I think there are a lot of us in that same basket. It's the same reason that I do what I do. I've come up in radio for the last 13 or so years. And like you said, you realize, that there are a limited amount of opportunities, especially when you're coming at things from a different perspective and a different aspect. Doors kind of get shut on you quick when you want to talk about and want to talk about real things. Or like from your perspective, coming at sports from a woman's perspective, which I don't know if you take that as a slight, but I think perspective is what makes sports. Getting everyone's, the white guy, getting the black guy, getting the white woman, getting the black woman, get everybody's perspective, because that's what sports is made up of. It's not made up of what sports media is made up of. You feel what I'm saying? I'm always talking about the authors of the story, not necessarily looking and portraying the characters within their stories. And then that's where you find so many of those disconnects. And little buzzwords always get thrown out like, oh, that dude's so stupid. Oh, he's this and that. Well, that's a matter of perspective. You know what I mean? Like a dude wants to go out and buy, 20 Range Rovers. Guess what? You know what I mean? That dude was probably a poor kid that dreamt about that his whole life. And it takes time to change those things. Last thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I completely agree. Being in a press conference, in the press room, all you see are a bunch of white, young to middle age or older men. And these kids, these young majority black athletes have nothing in common with these media members. I know that they go back in the back and they laugh because they're all asking the same questions. They're all half of the time trying to prove to each other that they belong. And, it's not about really learning about the players or getting something different. It's just, it's monotony. It really is. And so if I'm able to add a little color to that press room and ask a question that isn't, oh, well, how do you feel you played tonight? I mean, if you are 0 for 20 from the field and with 7 turnovers, well, I played terrible. So if I'm able to add a different perspective and a little color to that press room, then I'm doing my job, I feel like.
Did I already ask you who's going to win the tournament? Did I ask you that already?
You did not ask me that.
Who's going to win the tournament? Last thing I got for you, who's going to win the tournament?
I have not filled out my bracket yet, but just taking a cursory glance over it,
Come on, Vashti.
I guess I would have to say North Carolina. It pains me to say this, but then again, I'm not convinced that they'll play like they need to play either. Maybe Virginia or Michigan State. You can't.
That's like every team.
Hold me to this yet.
That's like
I know.
Maybe Kansas.
I know. Okay, all right. Let me pick one. My final.
Your final answer.
Michigan State.
Michigan
Final
State.
Answer, Michigan State.
Tom Izzo's going to cut down the nets up there. What is that? What is that? That's not East Lansing. What is that? Where are the Spartans at?
It is Lansing.
Is it East Lansing?
Aren't they in Lansing?
I don't know. Who cares? It's college basketball.
So. I don't know either.
Ask me during football season. I'll be able to tell you clearly.
You gotta get into this college basketball thing. Come up here to North Carolina. We'll teach you about it.
Well, I'll take you up on your invite. Appreciate you joining me, Vashti. We don't have to do this again soon, man. Probably, you know what? Around Final Four time. Let's hook up again and do it again around Final Four time, if you don't mind.
I'd love to. Are you a Falcons fan?
Nah. Nah. I just, I'm a supporter of the home team. I don't really do the whole fan thing in any team, in any sport. It helps me do this better.
Okay.
You feel me?
Okay, gotcha.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
She's the editor-in-chief, once again, of CarolinaBlitz.com, Vashti Hurt. On Twitter, she's at VASHTIHURT. I'm going to come back. We're going to pick up this conversation on the NFL concussion situation. Shout out to my guy, Peter Quill. Renee's in the building. Yes, they are in Lansing. Forgot Michigan's in the building. Yeah, so we're going to come back, talk about this NFL concussion situation. We're going to bring the weed into the conversation. No, I'm not going to spark one, but we're going to spark the conversation as it relates to the old marijuana. We'll do it next right here, One Mic with Big Mike. I'm Big Mike, being heard on Spreaker.com Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 7, and on the app, and as well. Make sure you check out the website, onemicwithbigmike.com.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So, of course, we all know there's lots of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. But here's the thing. This problem is entirely solvable. Seriously, we already produce more than enough healthy, nutritious food in this country to feed every single last one of those hungry kids. We just need a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is out there every day gathering surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across the country. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We asked kids what it took to be a dad. This is what they had to say.
A father is always present. I mean, what real father figure can you have if they're not there?
In order to be a good dad, you need to love your son. You need to put gas in your car so you don't break down in the middle of nowhere. And you need to make them breakfast. Yep.
I mean, just to maybe play like a board game with me, or to just stay home and play some video games with me. Just to do like that one little thing is what I really look forward to.
I'm not asking him to be a perfect dad, but he should try.
He's just a constant force in my life.
There's no other type of love like a dad's love because it's not comparable to anything else.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
One mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah I Bang Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
Welcome back. Second hour of the show. Appreciate everybody for joining me. If you're inside that chat room, thank you for joining me on this Wednesday, a.k.a. Hump Day, helping you get on over the rest of that hump. It is also, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, it is a Woman Crush Wednesday as well. And this week's, I guess the honor goes, to underscore Mahogany, at underscore MAHOGONY. So y'all go ahead and, y'all can hit her up online and not hit her up, just, you can admire her, whatever. You creepy SOBs know what I'm talking about. Also, finally got the website jumping off. The initial stages of the website are up, so you guys can functionally contact me and follow the show and follow me and all those things without me having to read off a lithium. Is that a word? Is that the right word? A bunch of different social media handles and things like that and email addresses. So that's going on right now. I want to thank my guest last segment, Vashti Hurt of CarolinaBlitz.com. Follow her on Twitter at Vashti, VASHTIHURT. I forgot to ask her what her name is. Not what her name is, but if it means something. I'm kind of into that kind of stuff, like people with weird names, well, unconventional unconventional names. If they actually have meanings to it, or if your mom and dad were just trying to be, we're going to be different with this one type of person. So before we get back into our NFL conversation in regards to the revelation, in air quotes, that guess what? You keep on hitting your head up against something hard, yeah, your brain's going to get messed up. We'll get back to that conversation right after we do On This Day.
Now, let's take a look back. On this day.
Alrighty. On this day in 1900, the American League meets in Chicago, Illinois. Van Johnson announces that the American League teams will be in Chicago, Kansas City, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo. That's way back in 1900, and they still ain't trying to change the damn game. On this day in 1939, the NHL record of 10 goals in one period collectively happened between the New York Rangers and the New York Americans, and a record 26 points in the third period altogether. On this day in 1969, more hockey. The Boston Bruins score an NHL record for one team of 8 goals in one period. On this day in 1983, the smallest crowd, it couldn't happen to a better city. The smallest crowd in an NBA game to that point went on at the Cleveland Coliseum between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New Jersey, yes kids, the New Jersey Nets. Before they were Brooklyn, they were in Jersey. On this day in 1994, in Portland, Oregon, Tonya Harding, she pleads guilty to conspiracy to hinder prosecution for trying to cover up an attack on figure skater Nancy Kerrigan. She's fined $100,000 and banned from the sport. You guys remember that? Why? He came out, she had her goons come out there and like bust this girl's legs up so she couldn't skate. Yeah. Years later, she probably got to be like, it wasn't that damn serious. But thus is life, right? Okay, and finally on this day, no, not finally, I got 2 more. On this day in 2000, WRAL TV digital broadcast offered viewers the first opportunity to watch any one of the games played during the NCAA basketball tournament. WRAL broadcast 4 separate channels with each carrying a different game. Now we got True TV and TNT and Turner and whatever else going on now. So you guys see everything, all the bad basketball you can handle. On this day in 2002, this is a sad one. Yeah, Brittany Cecil was hit by a puck by watching a game between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Calgary Flames at Nationwide Arena. The 13-year-old died 2 days later from a rare injury caused when her neck snapped back. Yeah, I remember that too, man. But you know what hockey did? And it's a shame it took them to do that. They raised up the plexiglass or whatever. Yet still we have here in baseball, people like, no, we can't put up nets. Let's wait till somebody dies first. How about we just do that? Meanwhile, I don't know if you guys saw this during the preseason. Some kid almost got like smashed to bits with a bat flying into the damn stands. Luckily, some dude just stuck his arm out there and kept the kid from getting. He probably certainly would have died had it hit him in the head. But, it's baseball, and we can't change. Let's make baseball great again. You remember when no black people could play in it? How about we do that? Idiots. Not collectively. Bryce Harper's my new favorite player. Speaking of true, when everyone feels like he shouldn't. So good for him. Where are we at? We got the chat room popping. Renee's in the building. Peter Quill just checked in saying UNC. The old Tar Heels going to get upset by Florida Gulf Coast. And I'm almost lightweight ashamed that I even know, because he didn't write Florida Gulf Coast. He wrote FGCU. I'm almost lightweight ashamed that I know what that is, that I can just spit that out. Of course. Oh, God, Renee. Everything Michigan is great, by the way. So, of course, Michigan State is going to win. Michigan State is going to take it this year. And you know what? I'll say this about it's not like a terrible homer pick, like somebody from Atlanta saying the Braves going to win the World Series this year. No, that's not happening. But Tom Izzo, man, that dude, for what it's worth, man, he has his team they're always tournament ready. When it rolls around, he treats that season kind of like a preseason, not like he's just like spitballing and effing around, but he gets his team ready for when it counts, because it's Michigan State. They're gonna get to the tournament. Now we're just talking about seeding at this point. And now, like you heard Vashti Hurt say in the last segment, they may have been misseeded, but it don't matter. Tom Izzo is one of those old school coaches that's like, yeah, let's go out here and win games. So as I ridicule Renee, I will also concede to the fact that Michigan State probably, from with my limited amount of college basketball knowledge, is probably in a bad pick. Back to what we were talking about what I was talking about in the first segment of the show, and that is the revelation, the aha moment, the come to Jesus moment that the NFL had on Monday, right around 5:45 or 6:45 or so. Well, the news broke around 6:45 that one of their, what is this dude called? He is the top health and safety officer. He said, yeah, there's definitely a tie between continuously being hit in the head playing football and degenerative brain injuries. This article I'm reading from ESPN talks about how in 2009, an NFL spokesman told the New York Times that it is quite obvious from the medical research that's been done that concussions can lead to long-term problems. This is 2009, excuse me. But when pressed by Congress and in interviews, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, everyone's favorite ginger, and other league representatives have for 4 years avoided taking a position. And, I forgot who, I think I heard Killer Mike the other day on something, talking about when money and morals war. Like, morals are going to lose all the time. And this is what we're talking about right now. This is like a thing in this country. You know what I mean? Like, your life has a price tag on it in this country. That's why people pay health insurance premiums. That's why you got to pay those co-pays, and the government won't. They'll rather buy, weapons for war that'll never be used, that they end up in the bottom of the ocean because they never get used and they get outdated almost as soon as they're purchased or as soon as they come off the assembly line. They'd rather put money towards that and towards building jails to house us, and I mean black men when I say us, and poor people, rather than investing it into education, into the health of the people in the country. I'm sorry. So, one of the doctors, Dr. McKee, she says, quote, I unequivocally think that there's a link between football and CTE, end quote. I talked about earlier the 90 of 94 players that she's examined, football players that she's examined, or pro football players that she's examined, show traces of CTE. 45 out of 55 college players, and 26 out of 65 high school players. Now, what that sounds to me like, if you're following me here, it sounds as though it's a little bit less likely at the high school level, a little bit more likely at the college level, and almost definite at the professional level. This whole argument that, I heard Colin Cowherd, I think, talk about how, we're a nation that, that everything is rooted in fear. I don't disagree with that at all. How every time you walk out the house, you're supposed to believe that Al-Qaeda or ISIS is around the corner. Not your boy. I do believe in that. But I also believe when it comes to matters of health, I don't know that fear is an unhealthy thing or is a thing that shouldn't be taken into consideration. Especially when you're talking about your brain. You can't get a brain transplant. People get heart transplants, lung transplants. People get all kinds of different transplants. You can't get a brain transplant. You get one shot at it, and it's done. So he likes to talk about how, it's not something that every football player has. First of all, there's no way to know that. Well, we do know that it hasn't happened in all of the football players' brains who have been examined, right? But in a good number, a pretty damn good number, 90 of 94 from one doctor, Dr. Bennett Amalu, who the concussion movie was based on his findings. He said he ain't never seen, as a pathologist, he's never seen. Is that the person? No, not pathologist. What is he? The person who handles dead people. He said he's never seen a football player without it. You know what I mean? And the scary thing, I was talking to one of my buddies one day about this, and I think it was on this show. I think I was talking to Byron Chamberlain of the Broncos about this. That the crazy and weird thing is the Frank Gifford situation, where Frank Gifford was living a regular life, and his family could see the changes in him, but publicly, it was good old Frank to most people, and they donated his brain, and because they saw these changes in him, and they realized that he had CTE. Now you say, like, okay, where are we going from here now? Now that the admission has been done, what are we talking about as it relates to this concussion lawsuit that these former players who need help or have filed and are now appealing versus the NFL. Maybe, you know what, maybe Friday, I have my guy Steve Silver from LegalBlitz.com come on and try to pick his brain a little bit about the legalities of what that type of admission means to a legal proceedings of this magnitude. Because like as soon as it happened, like they drafted a letter and like one of those like aha letters to the court. Like, yeah, this is what we're talking about. They knew that our brains were turning into Jell-O, and they told us it wasn't happening. You know, and they had people obviously on the defense side now saying that, you know, you can't use that. You know, that's not the same thing as an admittance of previous knowledge and all those kind of things. This article from Pro Football talks about, actually, they're referencing Daniel Kaplan of Sports Business Journal, that former players still opposing the concussion settlement quickly composed a filed letter, which I just mentioned, with the U.S. Court of Appeals for Third Circuit, pointing out Miller's comments, the doctor who actually made the comments about the link between football and CTE. The formula for receiving payment for CTE applies only, listen to this, this is the crazy part I was talking about. The formula for receiving payment for CTE applies only to those players who are determined to have it after death. That's the problem. See how big of a problem that is? Like, I have to be dead to get money for my brain injury now. Yeah, that's that's tough. You know what I mean? And they're trying to use the science against these guys. You know, that you can only determine CTE. There's studies being done. There's things being done to try to determine the disease while you're living. But, you know, you're a minute away from that. The NFL supposedly gave some money to an organization that was doing the research, and then they started putting like little disclaimers on the money, like, yeah, our people have to be involved and all. It's supposed to be an independent study, but not so much. Judge Anita Brody is the one who's presiding over the concussion settlement. And the crux of it is like this, and I make sure I highlighted this. It gives compensation to men who had CTE. Think about this now, and hear me clearly. It gives compensation to men who had CTE, but never any symptoms, like Frank Gifford, like I just talked about with Frank Gifford. With those who had CTE, along with the cognitive problems, not nearly enough to fall within the narrow band of serious conditions. Like, you got to have Lou Gehrig's disease. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about Lou Gehrig's disease. It's one of the most cruel things that can happen to a person, where your body is shutting down, but your mind is fully functional. So you're getting it all. You're feeling it all while it's happening to you. So you got to be that, to get this money from the NFL. So a dude is just like, look, man, I'm having problems. I'm having outbursts. My emotional state is messed up. I need help. Too bad. Kill yourself is basically what the NFL is saying. Kill yourself. So earlier this week, and by the way, this is One Mic with Big Mike. I'm Big Mike. Go to my website, onemicwithbigmike.com. You guys can hear the show live. You can also go to Spreaker.com or the app. Make sure you sign up for your free Spreaker account. Then follow me. And then every, like I said, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 o'clock, you can hear the show live. Or if you don't get a chance to hear the entire show live, you can also go back. And every show I've done back to November, people, you guys can download it. You can stream it. You can share it with your friends. I would appreciate you sharing it with your friends, as a matter of fact, on all those things. So, early this week, Martavis Bryant, and I think Taylor May caught a 4-gamer too for the weed. Earlier this week, Martavis Bryant caught a year. Taylor May caught a 4-gamer, like I just mentioned. And the reaction sometimes, it's so funny, man, that the way people react sometimes, I think the way they're supposed to, they feel like they're supposed to react, you know, to be a part of this cult of likability, because you can't say anything opposed to what the masses may feel without somebody calling you an idiot or telling you you're stupid or whatever. So many times people, I think now even unconsciously, just fall into the cult of likability. And so now you hear, man, he's throwing his career away. He's stupid. He this and that and the other. Then he comes out. He says, look, man, I'm dealing with stuff, man. I'm using it. I'm not partying. I'm using the marijuana to cope as a coping mechanism for the depression and things that I'm going through, right? Oh, look, man, now he want to holler out. He got depression. It's like that cynical stuff, man. Like there's certain times where like, okay, cynicism is what it is. I'm a very cynical person myself. But when it comes down to like life and death type of stuff, like people with depression can do some really outlandish things, not only to other people, but to themselves. You know what I mean? And if somebody's claiming to be that and they're not, well, okay, it'll be dealt with accordingly at some point probably. But that's not for me to diagnose and tell somebody, oh, you faking, you ain't got no damn depression. Nah, man, say he got depression. He going to treatment center and all that. And here's the other reason why you may just want to believe that that's the case. He has the right, and he probably should appeal the suspension just because he's a part of a union and that's a part of the process. But he's waived his right to appeal and just like, look, I'm going to take my year to get myself together. Like, that don't sound like somebody that's trying to beat the system, man. That sounds like somebody who is tried and true in what he's going through. But what I'm getting at is the natural response to marijuana in this country. And a lot of it is baseless. You know, and this is something that I've been very interested in and studying. And every time I see a special on it, or every time there's some writing or something to read about it, I make sure I pick it up and I read it because I want to know more. You know, I want to know more. And the thing that kind of got me to wrap myself around this the way I have, if you guys ever get a chance, go to your on demand CNN and look at Dr. Sanjay Gupta's special. He has two of them. It was a two-parter. Well, not a two-parter, but he did a sequel, Weed and Weed 2. And when you see people, you know, using this stuff to save their babies' lives, it'll change you, man. It'll change. If you got any type of anything beating inside your chest, it'll change the way you feel about this wrong and ignorant and just bad stigma that's been put on a plant. And then there's other things moving forward, like we talked about in the first hour, the mass incarceration that comes from marijuana. You know, the way other people of white heritage are getting rich off this quote unquote war on drugs, and marijuana being a Schedule I drug, which means it's as potent and has the same addictive qualities and no medicinal properties as heroin. Even more so than cocaine. Yeah. All that stuff, man, is foolery. And people have bought into it. Because you know why? What I've noticed about people now, and increasingly more so, that no one cares. If someone has something that you don't have, and for some reason they don't have it anymore, you'll always say, good for them. Good. I don't live my life that way, man. You know what I mean? I'm more apt to say good for him for getting that thing. And if he loses, like I was talking to Rob one time, my former co-host, about Vince Young. And people talk about how Vince Young lost all that money or whatever. And I was like, he probably had a good ass time losing it. You know, there's people who work regular jobs, you know, and get a lot of money and invest in the wrong thing. And it's all gone. And there was no fun had losing that money. You know what I mean? There's no fun had losing it. At least Vince Young got a bunch of memories, and then he's still Vince Young. In certain circles, that means something. Go back to the University of Texas, it still means something. You know what I mean? So I want to tell you guys, I'm going to start during this segment of the show, and then I'll finish in the next segment. Eugene Monroe of the Baltimore Colts, my effing man. A dude that is he's not just talking about it, talking about the seriousness of what's going on and the stigma behind marijuana, but he's putting his money to it. He's putting his money where his mouth is. He's giving $10,000 of his own money to marijuana research. You say, why is that important? Because there's this perpetual cycle within government as it relates to marijuana research that people have to medicate themselves. People who have cancer and people who have AIDS and people and kids who have epileptic seizures and these type of things. They're medicating themselves, and they're kind of they're spitballing it. It's not really any dosages or anything. They just got to figure it out on their own. The reason being is because no federally funded organization can do tests and studies on marijuana while it's still being classified as a Schedule I drug and already being determined not to have any medicinal use to it. Until that's able to change, people like Eugene Monroe are going to be godsends in this movement, if I can call it that. He's putting up his own money, $10,000 to God, where's the name of this group at? Because I want to make sure you guys have it, because I'm going to give some money to it. I don't have a lot, but I think it's worthy. You know what I mean? And like I say, anytime if you ever see a kid, man, a kid that's like this one lady, man, her baby's having like 100 seizures a week, man. A week. And all they can do at the doctor is like dope her up. You see this baby stumbling around. She's spaced out of her mind. This is a baby I'm talking about. Her mom gives her this CBD. It's not the THC, so she's not high. It's the other side of the marijuana, the CBD. Yeah, 1-2 seizures a week. If you don't know anything about seizures, man, just look it up and what it does to the brain. Period. While we're talking about brain injuries, look at what seizures do to a brain. Imagine a baby being a parent and going to bed and not knowing if the next morning is going to be the morning that your baby don't move when you go to wake her up. It's so selfish and stupid, and just these money grubbing folks, man, that just want to do this, to fatten their pocket. They'd rather kill somebody and lock people up than help people. So anyway, back to Eugene Monroe. He just went on this like Twitter rant, and I'm gonna read his tweets before we go to break, and then after the break, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk more about it. It starts off, he says, "This is not about marijuana." This is the quote. "It's not about marijuana. It's about a more sensible approach to health and care and research so we can protect the game and its players." He's talking about football. "People all over the country are being healed through the use of CBD products. Each week during the season, NFL teams embrace families of very sick children whom are fighting for their lives. Let's fund CBD research." Once again, he's talking about CBD. THC is the psychedelic that gives you that euphoric feeling when you're smoking or whatever people do, dabbing the weed and all this kind of stuff, the marijuana. He says, "Let's fund CBD research as it is continually proven to have a real impact on the lives of those children and their families. Some of their symptoms also mimic those of NFL players: chronic pain, traumatic brain injury." Sound familiar? He says, "Let's be proactive. Let's research how cannabis can help curb traumatic brain injury. If you're a player and you see this, you better stand up. It's about damn time. I'm not here advocating smoking weed for recreational purposes. However, smoking weed just may protect your brain. This is true. This is science. This is not some dude just flying off the cuff. Get over the quote-unquote stigma. We all know marijuana is not dangerous in any means." He puts up these memes of what alcohol, which is legal, does to people every year. What cigarette smoke, tobacco, does to people each and every year, and what marijuana does not do to people. And the reason I love talking about this from my perspective so much is because I'm not a weed smoker. I never have been. So it's not somebody who's like, yeah, I just want to smoke more. I never have. But I do understand. This is what I was talking about yesterday. I understand empathy, man. I understand when people are in need and people are in a position to help those people and they don't. Yeah, they might as well be dead to me. He goes on to say marijuana is legal in some form, whether medical or recreational, in each Super Bowl winner state since 2012. Who knew that? Yeah, that should be on Jeopardy. And finishing up, he says, "If I'm a fan, I'm pissed at the time I wasted listening to Goodell lie to me at the Super Bowl. As a player, I am sure." He's talking about this new revelation. "As a player, I sure am. We all love the game. Let's do some research to protect the players who make it great. If 100 players gave $1,000 for research or 200 gave $500, we can get Realm of Caring. Y'all remember that. Realm of Caring. We can get their initiative in conjunction with Johns Hopkins University started. I'm putting a $10,000 dent in it myself, and more if nobody steps up. Fellas, it's not a lot. Many of you will triple that expense this weekend in Miami. Let's put our hard-earned money towards our health and wellness futures. And that goes for anyone. This isn't just about athletes. This is research. This research can be profound for everyone. He's damn right. He's damn right. So we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back and finish this conversation, though, because it's a very, I don't know if this is boring anyone, but this is a very captivating conversation to me, and I'm very, very, I'm very enthralled in it. You know what I mean? I've been a part of this conversation for years now, and, you know, the more and more I hear about it and the more opportunities I get to talk about it, I will gladly take them. This is One Mic with Big Mike. OneMicWithBigMike.com is the website. Brand new. Started crunk it up today, so you guys go and check that out. The funny thing about it, though, on your smartphone, I'm going to figure out how to fix this, but you have to be looking at it in landscape mode for it to show up properly. So it got to be rigged up a little bit first, like most things. But yeah, go ahead and check that out, man. I'm also on Spreaker.com and the app every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday starting at 7 o'clock. And like I say, when I get back, I'm going to we're gonna continue the conversation on this, and I'm going to give you guys some numbers as far as some other sports and things of that nature. I'll be right back.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So, of course, we all know there's lots of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. But here's the thing. This problem is entirely solvable. Seriously. We already produce more than enough healthy, nutritious food in this country to feed every single last one of those hungry kids. We just need a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is out there every day gathering surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across the country. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We asked kids what it took to be a dad. This is what they had to say.
A father is always present. I mean, what real father figure can you have if they're not there?
In order to be a good dad, you need to love your son. You need to put gas in your car so you don't break down in the middle of nowhere. And you need to make them breakfast. Yep.
I mean, just to maybe play like a board game with me, or to just stay home and play some video games with me. Just to do like that one little thing is what I really look forward to.
I'm not asking him to be a perfect dad, but he should try.
He's just a constant force in my life.
There's no other type of love like a dad's love because it's not comparable to anything else.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey. Welcome back. Last segment of the show, One Mic with Big Mike. Of course, I am Big Mike. Appreciate you, everybody, for joining me. Everyone who joined me in the chat room today. My guy, Peter Quill. I am No Doze. Matt, of course, the beautiful Renee Cooper for joining me. Appreciate you. You know what, Renee? Thank you for hooking that interview up, man, with Vashti, man. That was fun. That was. I don't love college basketball anymore, but she was great, you know. And I love, man. She's a part of the struggle, man. Like, she's a part of the movement. So, anytime I am talking about college basketball, yeah, she'll be my go-to, man. I appreciate that. Had another go-to, but circumstances have occurred, and well, yeah. Make sure you guys are checking out my website. I'm looking at it right now, and you can actually listen to the show live. I'm looking at it right now. The counter's going up. It's a couple of minutes or seconds behind, but yeah, you guys can check it out on the website. It says live at the bottom of the home screen. So check out the website, OneMicWithBigMike.com. Coming soon to UrbanSportsOnline.com as well. as coming to TuneIn.com as well. I don't know why I hadn't done the TuneIn thing sooner, man. I'm an idiot, which probably many of you have already discovered. But, yeah, I don't know why I haven't. So we left off talking about the NFL and first head trauma. But then I remember one of the last shows I did on radio, I talked about the irony of how the one thing that the NFL is so staunchly against marijuana could be the thing that kind of saves the sport. Because the biggest issue, if you don't know, that's surrounding the NFL right now is head trauma. And you say, why is that the biggest issue? Because it leads to so many other things. Like, they don't want to tell you about the guys. No one, like, when's the last time you heard anyone involved with the NFL utter the name Javon Belcher? And I'm going to say it as many times as I can because I think that is like before there was Ray Rice and everyone got, oh my God, he punched her in the hotel. Yeah, awful. You know what's more awful? And you say, well, Mike, you can't put a degree on domestic violence. Watch me. You know what's more awful? When you shoot and kill the mother of your child in the room next door to where your mama and said child is, then you get in your car and you drive down to your place of work, in this case, the football facility, and in front of your head coach and your GM, tell them thank you and blow your freaking brains out. Sounds worse to me. I don't know about you. Yeah, both bad. One, worst. But no one wants to talk about it. You ain't see no PSAs for domestic violence after that happened. Which is why Javon's mama is a part of a separate lawsuit, a group of women who are suing the NFL. Because they realize, my son, my father, my brother, he wasn't always like this. And all of a sudden, he became this violent human being. And then the people who study this degenerative brain disease, CTE, said, yeah, that's one of the side effects of having this disease. This is why brain trauma is such a big deal. Because at a certain point, like me and my little podcast, I can continue to talk about it. But at a certain point, someone with a lot wider reach than me is gonna broach this subject. And the people who are involved and the people who have been denying this brain trauma stuff, they're gonna have to answer to it. This is the lawsuit that you guys aren't hearing about. It's out there. And so it leads us to today. Eugene Monroe. You know, he starts talking about marijuana. And with the admissions from yesterday of the NFL admitting, or one of their lead doctors admitting that brain trauma is caused by the repeated blows linked to playing, or that are had or obtained playing football. He starts talking about marijuana. And I've heard the medical evidence and seen the medical evidence of what marijuana does to the brain of a person who's experienced a head trauma, and it has something to do with the chemical that's secreted from your brain once your brain bangs inside the walls of your skull, and the CBD in the marijuana has a propensity to reverse that. Your man Roger Goodell don't want to hear that. I didn't mention the article that I was reading from the SI article. A guy named Doug Farrar, he does wonderful work for SI.com. I want to make sure I give him credit for that. And he talks about, he does a sit down. He actually does a phone Q&A with Eugene Monroe. I'm not going to go through all the answers and the questions and all that thing, but one thing that he does mention to Eugene Monroe is something that he actually asked Roger Goodell. A question that he asked him right before Super Bowl 50. He kind of follows up on someone else's question, and he says, to be a bit more specific on the marijuana issue, you said 2 years ago that if there was more research done for medical marijuana for players, you would consider approving it. There has been a lot of research in the last couple of years. Players like Jim McMahon, Kyle Turley have talked about how it has helped them. Where does the league stand on the issue of medical marijuana for the players and ex-players? This is what Roger Goodell had to say. He says, quote, I don't distinguish between the medical marijuana and the marijuana issue in the context of my previous answer. Our medical professionals look at that. That is exactly what we talked about to them. I would assume that it would be used in a medical circumstance, or if it is even recreational, our medical professionals look at it both ways and determine whether they think it is in the best interest to do that. Yes, I agree there have been changes, but not significant enough changes that our medical personnel have changed their view. Until they do, then I don't expect that we will change our view. I think it's ridiculous that Josh Gordon missed a year. And then for his part, he said it wasn't from marijuana. The first two offenses were from marijuana, but once you get into the league substance abuse protocol, it's substances, period. So he said after the season, he had a drink on the plane on the way home, and then he was tested, and then it came up alcohol. Now, the reason that you can believe that is because the NFL policy when it comes to drug suspensions is they can't just come out and tell people what it was that you were suspended for. But if you say what you're suspended for and it's a lie, they can correct it. And they never corrected it. They didn't say it was weed. They said nothing. So you can assume then that it was exactly what he said. It was the alcohol, which, by the way, is weird. It's weird not only in the NFL, but countrywide. You know what I mean? That weed is something that, of course, you can't tax it yet. And, like what Chris Rock said, if it's made by brown or black people, done it. It's dead in America. You know what I mean? If bullets was made by a black man or created by a black man, no one would ever be shot ever. In the spirit of the joke, therein lies truth, man. And so I went and started I wanted to start looking more today about around this area, in other sports. And I got to correct something. I kind of got a little bit overzealous on Monday when I was talking about basketball not testing for marijuana. They do. But it's kind of like, we're going to do it because we can. And I also mentioned that, when the last time you heard of a basketball player being suspended for marijuana, and I was like, they don't. Well, it's happened. I think Gordon Hayward and another dude got 5 games for marijuana. Nobody prominent, Gordon Hayward is a pretty prominent dude for that Charlotte team. Or was for that Charlotte team when he got suspended. But so I misspoke on that. But the fact of the matter is, and I bring that up to mention Jay Williams, getting ready for March Madness and all the things, analyst for ESPN, was asked about it. He said, he gave a number, 75 to 80% of NFL players smoke weed. But think about what we're talking about. Yeah, you start going hard on weed in the NBA, yep. I'm moving back to college basketball because it's going to be terrible. You feel me? It's going to be awful. Bunch of Tyler Hansbrough and all the Plumlee brothers is going to be starting for your team, and Kyle Korver. Yeah, that was probably racist, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. The league will be terrible, and that's part of the reason why. So yeah, the fact that the NBA doesn't really take it seriously. I think for them it's like 5 games, and you have to enter the program if you get caught the first time, and it's like the second time is another 5 games. I think it's 5 games added, so a total of 10, and then you have to re-enter some counseling type stuff. But in football, man, golly, you got to get caught in basketball 5 times, and they're like, all right, they give you 2 years then. But at that point, if you get caught, because from my understanding, they kind of tell you what you kind of know when you're gonna be tested. Which by the way, I gotta give a little ghetto public service announcement. If any of y'all out there know any NFL players that are partaking in the old wacky tobacco, they need to go ahead and stop for a minute at least, because the NFL has a testing window in which they test players who aren't in the protocol. The players who are in the protocol, they get just random tests anyway. That's how people like Martavis Bryant got in trouble, because he actually just F it. I know I was high yesterday. He just started skipping tests in the NFL. They consider that failing the test if you skip it. And same thing with Josh Gordon. He's in the protocol, so they just test him randomly. But for everyone else, like, you know, we saw Cam Newton, the pictures of him out in L.A., and people say he was smoking weed at the club. That's fine, but he got to stop now. Here's why. The annual window for the random test per year opens on April 20th. Yes, weed heads, 420 is when it's like a cruel joke. The NFL wants weed smokers to stop smoking on 420. Or, no, they're going to start their testing protocol on 420. You got to stop smoking now. It goes from 420 till somewhere in August, like mini camps and all that kind of stuff, right? And the reason I'm saying now is because it takes about, this is from Pro Football Talk. It takes roughly about a month for the marijuana metabolites that show up in a drug test through your pee to get out of your system. Like, they could probably still get it in your hair or your blood or something, but to get it in, they're only getting it in pee. So to do that, you got like 35 days now. You probably don't want to be that fool that's going to try to like, yeah, let me just toke everything I can up until right at 30 days. Now, you don't want to play it that close. So right around now, 35 days, go ahead and pull back and, go ahead and pass your test so you can, because like once you get tested, you can just start blazing again, because there's only one. You get one random test during that time, and then, you go back and do what you do. But, again, if you guys out there, tell them Big Mike sent you that it's time to stop, at least for a while. Because the problem, like the other thing with the NFL, if we're going to keep it real, it's not with the smoking of the weed. It's the fact that, like with most things, like with the country, all these stupid laws are on the books, but no one wants to be like, yeah, they're stupid. Yeah, a dude shouldn't have to go to jail for 13 and a third years for 2 joints. No one wants to do that. You know what I mean? When it's the common sense thing to do. Same thing with the NFL. It's not about you smoking the weed. It's about you getting caught and you not being able to play. You're not being available, to produce on the football field. That's what it inevitably is about. So, yeah, just tell your people, Big Mike sent you. It's time to go ahead and wrap that thing on up and keep it moving. Let's see what else. Oh, how much time I got? Good. This Kawhi Leonard thing. I don't know if you guys saw this thing about Kawhi Leonard. I'm sorry. I was reading something else I have. I'll get to that later. This Kawhi Leonard thing, right? Kawhi Leonard, big time baller for the San Antonio Spurs. This dude is like every year, man, he's coming more and more and more into his own. And it came out this week that this kid who signed this $94 million extension, they try to play it like he's riding around, like his everyday joint is this old 97 Chevy Tahoe he calls the gas guzzler, and then like he's so cheap he get like seriously mad when he can't find his coupons. He endorses some wing company that sends him coupons for free wings, and he gets like pissed off. And I'm gonna say this. First of all, Kawhi Leonard, like, that's weirdo stuff, first and foremost. Like, a dude, like, it's the dudes that you'll never hear talk. They'll never say nothing. They're always quiet. To me, that's a dude that's hiding something. You know what I mean? Like, perfect example, Marvin Harrison. Yeah, remember how all white people love Marvin? Oh, look at it. He don't say anything. He doesn't dance. He's not a diva. Marvin Harrison is a goon. Like, if you know anybody from Philly, just ask him about Marvin Harrison. That dude, like, owns a couple of square blocks. Like, not owns because he paid money for them. He just kind of runs, like, a couple of square blocks in Philly. You got, like, car washes and dry cleaners and barbershop. All the standard goon kit of business owning. The barbershop, the dry cleaner, the car wash, all those things. But yeah, but white people loved him. He's so unassuming. I remember I saw a special on him. He was like, "Yeah, man, I just wish we could play basketball with nobody in the crowd. I'm so shy and this, that, and the other." Nah, it's because you got stuff to hide. You got bodies to hide, cuz. And when I hear this stuff about Kawhi Leonard, it's like, all right, yeah, love it up now. But when the story come out of that with that deep freezer in his basement with body parts in it, don't say you never saw it coming. Just weirdo stuff. You got $94 million. Let me say this, because I said the same thing, and I remember being on the radio, And this lady called jumping on my case about Alfred Morris, the running back for the Redskins. It was like driving this beat up Mazda 626 because his pastor who helped him coming up gave it to him, and it was sentimental to him. And I was like, man, screw that. I mean, yeah, keep the car. Ludacris still got his 96 Acura Integra, but it's just like it's a keepsake. It's a reminder. That's all that is. Nah, pimp, you got to get you something. And I'm not saying this dude who Alfred Morris was drafted, I think in like the 6th round or something like that. I ain't talking about going out and getting no Phantom. Nah, but my man, you can go get you a Escalade, 50 grand Escalade, and still have a whole bunch of signing bonus money left. But instead, Nissan saw the story and they refurbished the old car, which, by the way, is a death trap. No airbags. Like, the car is so old, it didn't have no safety features. And they refurbed the car to where it was coming off the assembly line at that time. They ain't upgraded. That's foolery. You know what I mean? Like, what you work for, if not to enjoy the fruits of your labor? You know what I mean? And, okay, like I said, the story was pitched as though he just got this 97 Tahoe. I'm too much of a skeptic to just take that at face value. I got to believe that Kawhi got he got the Lambo at the crib and got a couple more toys at the crib, but that's just the one, somebody saw him driving it or whatnot. And I'm not the dude that says, I'm not like on some Floyd Mayweather stuff, like go get a bunch of cars. Nah. But if you work that hard to get to that place in life, man, come on, man. Ain't nothing wrong with rewarding yourself. Get you something nice. $94 million is what that dude's, and it's NBA money. This ain't NFL money. This is NBA guaranteed cash, cuz he walking away with that. But, yep. Know how the white media love stories like that. Like in the second segment when I was talking to Vashti, she was talking about, we were talking about the perspective of the white media. Watch what happens. Watch what's going to happen during this NFL draft process. Every year they go get a couple stories and they kind of handpick them. It was like Devontae Freeman and Shane Ray and a couple dudes where they walking through these terrible neighborhoods that they came up in. It was like, look where this kid came from. It's like, come on, man, you could throw all the dudes that's going to be drafted. Let's put him in a room and throw a rock, and you hit another dude with the same story. But white people are captivated by that. And we can't believe he made it out. It's like the slave that escaped to the north. It's like, wow, all you've been through. Now we've got to treat you right. Get your ass out of here. But it's that exploitation of what someone isn't supposed to be. And like this dude running around with cornrows, stealing all that. Like, that ain't normal. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's a hell of a basketball player. Which, by the way, they're going to take on good luck to you guys, to you damn college basketball weirdos. You know what I'm doing on Saturday night? Yep. Warriors and Spurs, cuz, all night. You guys can have that foolery called March Madness. I'm going to be looking at some real basketball. But yeah, that dude is awesome at basketball. But, yep, yeah, my weirdo alert went off. Yeah, it was sounding, the alarms were sounding, boys. A weirdo in the building. That dude going crazy over damn Wingstop coupons and driving a 97 Tahoe. Like, that's the move. Nah, cuz, not with 94 milli. Not with that. I can't accept that. Not at all. What else we got before we get out of here today? By the way, it's One Mic with Big Mike. Big Mike here with you. Yeah, Peter Quill. I saw that while I was talking, and I had to ignore it because I didn't want to laugh. He said, "Dude got OCD." Maybe. You think he doing cornrows by himself, like how Denzel did, and he got game? He just like in the mirror doing like the jailhouse style cornrows. And of course, Peter Quill. Like I don't know what Peter Quill's like athletic background is. You know what I mean? But he says weed just needs to be legal overall. Like I don't think he gives a damn about like head trauma or disease. He just want to be able to, like, on his smoke break at work, his 15-minute smoke break, want to go fire up at L. Oh, I love y'all dudes, man. So anyway, you want to know how rich people clap back when you wrong do them and embarrass them? This is how. So I think yesterday I heard that the NFL is now trying to strip Roger Goodell of his disciplinary duties. You know, in the way the CBA was written and signed off on, he is the judge, juror, and executioner when it comes to discipline amongst the players. And players, Atlanta Falcons' own Roddy White, he spoke out like almost immediately, like, this some bull. Why does this dude get, and Roddy ain't never been in no trouble. But and I like comments coming from those type of dudes too. Like if Pac-Man says it, it's like, oh, come on, Pac-Man. No one's listening. But dude like Roddy, who ain't never been in no trouble, is like, yeah, that's bull. This dude shouldn't be able to hear your case, levy the punishment, then hear your appeal. Like, you know, like you gonna convince the same dude, like, Mama, you know what? I want to talk to you about that whooping you just gave me. Yeah, what you gonna do? Get another one? You better carry your ass on. So now they want to strip him of those duties. And of initially hearing about it, you think it's the NFLPA that's put something together. Nope. It's the owners. And you say, well, why would the owners even care? This is why. This dude is blowing dough on this dumbass Deflategate stuff, like $30 million in the hole, 20 or 30 million in the hole for this Deflategate nonsense. And these owners employ the commissioner. They trying to get money. Like, they got all these deals on the table for this streaming service. Like, cats who want to double dip on the TV rights, that not only will you be able to see the games live on your television, they experimented with it last year with Yahoo, I think, with the games in London being able to stream them online, but they want it to be a regular thing. And now these companies are bidding on this stuff. Yahoo, Netflix, and people are bidding on the ability to stream the NFL. The owners want this dude worrying about that. And which leads me to the clapback. You know, one of the dudes, you remember the last collective bargaining agreement, the labor stoppage, who was up front and hugging Jeff Saturday and all this stuff, and his wife died? Yeah, that would have been Robert Kraft. Yeah, you didn't hit this dude for his first round pick. You didn't hit him with $1 million after he was the one that was all on your side for you to get the job of commissioner in the first place. And you thought that dude was just going to lay down? You thought he was just going to be like, all right, it's cool. All right, we're going to take this ass whipping and move on. No, that dude's a billionaire for a reason. You just don't walk over him and think it's going to end here. So nah, I think it's Roger. And I don't have no sources or nothing like this, but I'm just putting the pieces together. It's been like this for so long. Like the CBA was signed in like 2011. It's 2016 now. He been doing it, but all of a sudden now, he done went too far. He touched the golden boy, Tom Brady, and won't let him go. So Tom Brady's daddy's like, all right, that's how you want it. Let's ride. Yeah, let's go ahead and strip this dude down a rank. Let them know who we really work for. Just like the mob boys. Like, who you work for, cuz? Yeah. Robert Kraft. Watch. As the story unfolds a little bit more and more, you're going to find out who led the charge on this. The dude that you thought you had him. You know, you thought you had him bow down when he came out there and did the press conference that he was so sorry and, you know, he don't want to take this on and embarrass the league anymore, only for his quarterback to be exonerated. Yeah, that ain't how from my experience, that ain't how rich people play. They win. That's how you get the Billy. You win. Speaking of winning, I only got a couple minutes. This show that I've been checking out, well, it's only one episode, but it's a slave show called Underground. God, what channel does it come on? WGN? Y'all got to check that out, man. Underground is about the Underground Railroad, not, underground hip hop. It's about the Underground Railroad, and it's okay. For the first episode was okay, but I'm a person I'm kind of enthralled by this situation, by the slavery and the reenactments of the things that the way people depict the things that their interpretations of what actually happened way back in the day. So yeah, it's called Underground. That girl, the light skinned girl from Roll Bounce, when she was a little girl, she's a grown woman now, but she's in it. The dude from the one of those Tyler Perry shows, or he was in one of those Tyler Perry shows at one point. He's in it. It's Bubba Gump, the guy that played Bubba Gump. He's in it. So it's some notable people in this show, man. It's pretty good. So you guys ought to check that out. God, I don't have time for anything else. It's time to go. Don't forget, the website is up, is bunking www.onemicwithbigmike.com. You can email me at mike@onemicwithbigmike.com. Or what I say? Yeah, onemicwithbigmike.com. All my social media stuff is on the website. You guys can catch the streaming on the website. You can catch past episodes on the website. You guys can also download the episodes from there. You can check out my guy Rob Calloway. I'm gonna get a couple of other people. My guy Jarvis Davis, Alec Campbell, guys gonna be contributing their writing skills to the website as well. I'm gonna try to blow this thing up, man, and the movement continues, man. The movement of that alternative perspective in the world of sports talk, it continues, man. I want to thank my guest, Vashti Hurt from CarolinaBlitz.com. She's on Twitter at Vashti Hurt. I want to thank I Am No Doze, my guy Peter Quill, Matt at East Point Made Me, Renee, all you guys for joining me in the chat room, man. And I appreciate you guys taking the time out your schedule to do this. Also, spread the word if you can. If you're listening right now, make sure you're clicking that heart as well. Get my likes up. In the world of Spreaker, in the world of podcast world, in the podcast world. My WCW this week, young lady at _Mahogany. Make sure you guys go check her out, holler at her, and give her some follows and all those good things. Come back on Friday. I don't know what I'm going to talk about on Friday, man. Like I said, I'm going to try to see if my guy, Steve Silver from thelegalblitz.com, can come on. We can talk a little bit more about this NFL concussion situation, man. And then whatever else pops off to then, got some basketball going on right now. March Madness starts on Thursday. Maybe we get some upsets and some things going on. I'll surprise you. How about that? So once again, onemicwithbigmike.com is up and ready to go. And I'll see you guys Friday, man. Thanks for joining me and helping me help you get over that hump.